Overall, Whitwell's math scores have a slight dip due to the extremely low scores in fifth grade math. Even though our total students dropped in math, our special education students showed a great deal of growth, moving from 11.76 in 2012 to 17.39 in 2013. There was a lot of growth in our special education. And even though our fifth grade scored very low, our other classes scored very well when compared to the county and the state. Overall, we scored well above the county in every class except in fifth grade, we scored very low. We also scored above the state in fourth and eighth grades in math. So I think most of our kids did a really good job. Something interesting that showed up in looking at today was the percentage of girls who were proficient was higher than the percentage of boys. Scored 44% to 41.4%. We also closed the achievement gap in math of all students by 0.54 compared to the state average of 0.52. Now on to the catching up and keeping up data. For the students who were not proficient, 23% of all students are catching up and 9% of special education students are catching up. For the students who were proficient, 62% of all students are keeping up, while 50% of special education students are keeping up.
So you go ahead and put chart 1 up since I totally skipped that. When I was talking about our target, you might have to make it bigger. You can see that our index score was 45.93%. Our target was only 43.72%. For next year, our target will be 46.76%. We did meet 50% of the targets in math and reading, and we also met the participation rate. As far as reading goes, chart number 2, Jody. We improved our reading scores. We improved our reading scores in every group. There's a lot of different schools on there, but ours are across the top. And you can see in 2012, we were at 41.73%. We moved in 2013 to 42.24%. If you look across the board, we show improvement in reading all the way across the board. But the one I want to call your attention to is our special education kids. In reading, they were at 10.29% in 2012, and in 2013 they jumped to 17.39%, and I think that's very impressive. 35% of all students are catching up in reading. This is chart number 3, Jody. While 17% of our special ed students are catching up. 66% of our students are keeping up, while 75% of our special ed students are keeping up. So that's a pretty impressive number. If you go to chart number 4, I think that you'll see some interesting information. The yellow represents Duval, the blue represents the county, and the green represents the state, and reading is on the right. As you can see, in the first chart, it shows low growth. We want to be down close to the green. We don't want to be high on that chart because we don't want a large number of students showing low growth. But look at the typical growth. The typical growth is between 35 and 65%, and we're off the charts in the typical growth. We're above the county and way above the state. Now, as far as high growth goes, we are not above the county or state, but overall, if you go to the next chart, Jody, if I'm not mistaken, if you push that up there and you look at that, everybody in our school showed typical growth except for fifth grade math. And fifth grade math alone brought our math scores down. So we had typical growth, 35 to 65% across the board with our students. If you look at the next chart, you can see when they broke them down in subgroups, we had typical growth all the way across the board. One of the interesting things, we talked about math far as our West test participation, we had 99.75%. Our attendance rate, last year our attendance rate was 98.83%. We had the best attendance in the county. The new attendance initiatives that started this year, Duval is hands down has the best attendance in the county so far this year. And we've worked really hard on this. It's taken a team effort by administrators, by teachers, and by counselors. We contact parents regularly. We tell them how important it is to be in school. So I'm very proud of our attendance rate. Ms. Brown is going to share with you how we're going to maintain our index score in math.
In order to maintain an index score in math, we have to make sure that no group scores as well as the fifth grade did last year. We are working on this at both the fifth grade and the sixth grade levels. First, we now have a certified math teacher in Tina Atkins in the fifth grade. She does project-based learning units. She engages students in activities that have real-life application for mathematical skills. She integrates math and science concepts, and she utilizes manipulative graphic organizers. So those are all great things for our fifth graders. For last year's fifth graders, who are sixth graders now, this year's teacher is using the Mastery program, which is embedded with the Common Core. Students are working in small groups to collaborate and solve problems.